Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you're having a great day. In today's video, we are resuming from episode 1, and we're now on episode 2 of how to create a shop GUI in Roblox. In episode 1, we covered how to actually build and create the GUI, and now we're going to go over the back end, which would be all the scripting and all things like that when building this GUI. If you guys didn't watch the last episode, I would definitely encourage you guys to go back and check that out, because you're probably going to be confused or not understand how to do everything when coming to this episode. Card at the top right hand corner of the screen, you can click that to go watch the last episode and then come back here once you're done. Additionally, if this video does help you guys out, or you guys want to see some more Roblox development videos, make sure you guys hit that like button and also hit the subscribe button and turn those post notifications on. We also have a Discord. If you guys have any questions or want to help other people out, link down below in the description. Go check it out. I also have a Patreon. If you guys would like to support me or gain access to the script files when this whole shop GUI is done, they are all uploaded directly to the Patreon before this video is even uploaded. You guys can go there, subscribe to the Patreon, and gain access to all the scripts that I make in this video. With that being said, let's get into it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to actually script the close button. So go to the close button and add a local script to this, and we can just name this close if we want to. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get the players. So local player equals game get service players dot local player. So now we're going to want to get the player's GUI, and the way that you're going to do that is by saying player wait for child, and then inside the quotation marks you're going to say player GUI. Now make sure you spell it exactly how I do. If you make GUI all capitalized, then this will actually not return player GUI, so you want to write it exactly how I have it. We also need to use wait for child because the starter GUI is actually replicated into the player when the player actually joins the game. So if we actually start the game, we go to players, we look at monster, and I don't actually have a starter GUI. I have a player GUI with all of my GUI stuff inside of it and even more. And as we can see, shop GUI is right there. That's why we're using wait for child, because it needs to get replicated and we want it to wait until it's actually loaded. Now after that, we're going to go ahead and get the shop GUI. So we're going to say shop GUI equals player GUI dot shop GUI, and then finally we're going to actually want to get the close button. So we're going to say local close button equals script dot parent. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take the close button and we are going to wait for the player to click it. Then we will connect it to a function. We're going to create a brand new function, and we are going to say shop GUI dot enabled equals false. Now we can go ahead and start the game. No errors are in the log. We click on the close button, and awesome, the GUI has been closed. That's exactly what we wanted. All right, so now that we actually have a way of closing the GUI, we are going to want a way of opening it as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the shop GUI, and then you want to actually set the enabled to false. So uncheck that, and then the GUI will no longer be visible. Now in the starter GUI, add a brand new screen GUI. We're going to call this screen buttons, and then we could add a frame, but we're actually just going to add a text button to this because I'm trying to make this as simple as possible. Some of you guys might want to have text buttons on the screen for how you want to open your shop. There's so many ways that you could actually open your shop, so this is way less important. If you already have an idea of how you want to open up the shop, you can skip further ahead. Anyway, I'm going to make a little on-screen button for us to do this. So we can rename them to open button, and then we're just going to modify the text button a little bit. So we're going to say text, we will make the text scaled. We'll actually set the text to a $sign to kind of represent the shop, and that's all that we're really going to do. We don't need to make any more adjustments to it, but we do want to make sure that we scale it, so that should be good to go. And now let's go ahead and add a local script inside of here, and we can name this open. So you could copy and paste the stuff from close because we are going to need this stuff, but I'll just do it once again, write it all for us again. So we're going to say local player equals game get service players dot local player, then local player GUI equals player wait for child player GUI, then local shop GUI equals player GUI dot shop GUI, and then finally we actually need to get the open button, and that is script dot parent. So now what we're going to do is we're going to say open button dot mouse button one click, connect that, and we're going to add a brand new function inside of here. And then once this is clicked, we're going to get the shop GUI enabled, and we're going to say equals not shop GUI dot enabled. So what this is going to do is when you click the button, it's going to open it, but if the shop's already open, it will actually close it. I like this. If you only wanted the button to open it and not also close it, then you could literally just say true, but I like the way that we're doing it, and I'll show you exactly why in a second. When we load in, we can see we do have a little button right there in the corner. We can click that, and we can see the shop now pops up. Now we can click it again, and it also closes. That's why I sort of like doing it this way, but you don't have to. Additionally, we can still click the X, and that will close the shop, and we don't have to worry about without anything. So now we can open the shop and we can close and shop. Very nice. So the next thing we're going to do is we are actually going to go to replicated storage and we are going to create a brand new module script. Now we're going to rename this to tool config. And basically what this is what is actually going to be sold in our shop. So I'm just going to rename this to config. You can rename this really whatever you want. It doesn't really matter too much. Now, if you're going to sell tools, then you can make it tools. You can make it whatever you actually do want to sell in the shop. And we're actually going to make a table with this. So inside this table, we're actually going to make more tables and we're going to say name equals and then the name of our tool. So we're going to say pickaxe. Then we're going to hit comma. We'll then say price equals 10. And then we'll say order equals 1. Then we could say image equals, and then we could find an image. So let me search up a picture of a pickaxe in here. Okay, so let's use this picture right here. Let's copy that ID, paste that right there. Then we will make another one and we could literally just copy and paste this. So boom, there we go. And now instead of image, we could change this to view port frame, and we could change this to pickaxe 2. The price would be 20 and order would be 2. Now let's also put a comma right there so that we can have multiple tables right here. And there we go. This is exactly what we want. So now what we're going to do, we're going to take this list. We are going to loop through every single one of the values and we'll use this information to actually add it to the shop. So now we can close the open and close scripts. We can also close player data scripts because we don't need to touch those probably anymore at all for the rest of the video. Then inside of the Shop GUI, let's add a brand new local script and we're going to call this Item Generator. So now let's make a variable for the replicated storage. We're going to say replicated storage equals game get service replicated storage. Then we want to get our configs. So we're going to say local config equals. So we're going to do replicated storage find first child and it is called tool config. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make a loop. Now we don't care about the index of the loop, so we're going to use underscore instead of like integer or number or however else you would name this. That's why people use the underscore. If you don't actually care about the number that you're at in the loop, that's when you actually use the underscore. Then we're going to say comma, and then we are going to say config line, and we're going to say in pairs config do, and then there we go. Now we've got a loop. Oh, I actually spelled that wrong. We're going to say config line. So now what it's going to do is it's going to get the config, and then we're going to loop through every single line in the config. So line 1, line 2. Now we actually have to construct something with this. So we are going to go back into the Shop GUI, and this time we are going to make a module script. We can name this Item Constructor, and then I'm just going to name this Shop, and we will also name this Shop as well. And we're also going to want to make sure that we use this meta method right here equals shop so that we can really do object-oriented programming. All right, so the first function that we're going to want to actually make is so that we can generate brand new items. Now we really have to think about what every single item is going to have. So for example, if we look at our tool config, every single item is going to have a name, it's going to have a price, it's going to have an order, and it's going to either have an image or a viewport frame. So let's call this function shop.new item. And then inside of this, we're actually going to take the config line, and then there we go. So now we're going to say local new template equals set meta table. We're going to set a blank meta table, and then we're also going to set shop as that meta table. I'm actually going to rename this, so we're going to call this item object. I think this might make it a little bit easier to understand and a little bit easier for me to explain as well. So what we're doing right now is we're actually going to make our own object. That's what object-oriented programming is. So our custom object is going to be item object. Now we're going to give some custom properties to our item object. One of them is going to be called item name, and we're going to say item name equals config.name. And the reason that we're saying config.name is because that's what we have right here. We could actually say item name, but it's simpler for us to just say name. But you know what? I'm actually going to rename this to item name because I think that might just also make it a little bit less confusing, especially if this is your first time using this as well. Make sure you go to your tool config file and rename this to item name just to clear up any possible confusion. So we're going to say config.item name. We'll also assign another property to it called price, and we're going to say config.price. We're also going to assign the orders, and then finally we have to assign the image, so config.image, and then also the viewport frame, and we're going to say equals config.viewport frame. So remember, what we're doing here is this is the brand new custom object that we have created. We are adding custom properties, whatever we want. They also don't have to be the same name. They could be like whatever order, then we're gonna have to remember this variable. But in my opinion, it's the most simplest thing to do is just keep them named the exact same thing, because otherwise it just adds unnecessary confusion. And right here, config, this is directly from this config line. So item name would return pickaxe 2, price would return 20, order would return 2, and viewport frame would return this, but this is sort of just a placeholder. We'll actually change this in the future, but for right now, we'll just leave it as is. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go inside of frame, go inside of container, and we're going to take the item template from inside of here, and we're actually going to put it directly into the item constructor module script. Then we also want to define it in a variable up here. So we're going to say local item template button equals script find first child item template. And then we're actually going to want to clone it. So we're going to say local clone template equals item template button clone. Now, once we have it cloned, we are going to want to set the parent of it actually to this container right here where it's going to be going. Remember, this is exactly where the item template was originally at, and this is what holds all of the items in our shop. So we're going to make a couple more variables up here, and we're going to say local shop GUI equals, and we're going to say script.parent. Then after that, we are going to say local frame equals shop GUI find first child frame. Then we're going to say local container equals frame find first child container. Okay, so now we've got the shop GUI, the frame, and the container, exactly what we want. So then we're going to say clone template. We're going to come back down the clone template, and we're going to say its parent is equal to container. So now pretty much what this is going to do is when this function is called, it is going to grab a brand new clone template, and it's going to add it directly to the container right here. Now we're actually going to make some changes to the clone template. And remember, the clone template is literally just the item template. So we can go inside of here, and we can start to explore the changes that we're going to make. So inside of here, we have the viewport frame and the image. We're going to say if item object dot image does not equal nil, then. And then what we're going to do is we are going to say item clone template dot image, and then we have to find the property that we're going to set on here, which I think would just be image. So yes, so what we're doing is we're saying clone template, which is this, and then we're going to get the image label inside of it, which is this right here. So clone template dot image, and then we're going to set the image property of that image label, and we're going to say equals item object dot image, and we're going to say else if item object dot viewport frame does not equal nil, then. Now we could probably just use an else here, but I always like to use an else if just in case. But since we only have really two options, we could likely just do an else. I'm just going to do an else if just in case. And we're going to basically do the same thing. So we're going to say clone template dot viewport frame equals, and viewport frame is going to take a little bit more of a longer explanation. So for right now, we'll just comment that out, and we'll actually get to that sort of towards the end, because it is definitely a little bit of a project in its own. Oh, okay. Another thing that I actually forgot is we also want to make the clone template image, and we want to set visible to true. And the reason for that is because, remember, this image is actually not visible, and the reason we're doing that is because we can have either an image or a viewport frame. So we would also do the same for down here as well. If it is a viewport frame, we would also set that to be visible as well. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to see it, and then we're actually just going to comment out this for now as well. So let's go back to item generator, and let's actually call this. But first, we actually need to require it. We're going to say local item constructor equals require script dot parent wait for child item constructor. There we go. So now we can go ahead and call this method, and we are going to say item constructor dot new item, and we are going to feed it in the config line. And then we should be able to start the game, and it might actually populate the shop. Okay, and we load in, and we see we actually got an error, and table expected got instance. And I actually see what I did. I actually completely forgot. I actually need to require this because this is a module script. So all we literally have to do is throw a require around here, and then we should be able to start it up, and that should be good to go. So now we started it up. We got no errors, and let's see. Oh, okay, there was some issues right here. Okay, I know exactly what happened. Now we need to go back over to the item constructor. So the error actually happens right here. And the reason for that is because we're actually not setting the image right. And I sort of forgot. So let's go back over to tool config. Let's grab our image ID that we have right here. And then we can go back to the image inside of the item template text button. So then let's search for image, and we have that right here. Now paste the ID directly in here, and we can see a link has actually been generated. So what we need to do is we need to grab this part of the link, the part that doesn't include the ID. And then we need to do quotation mark, add that, and then dot dot, and then boom, there we go. So now what this does is when it sets an image, it will not just set the ID, it will actually set the full-on link to the image so that Roblox can actually find the image we want. Previously, we were just setting it to a combination of numbers, and now it'll actually set it correctly. So we should be able to start the game, click on the shop, and boom, there we go. We can see the pickaxe has appeared. Now you might be thinking, why is this here? Well, that's actually there because we have the viewport frame. What we could do is, for right now, we could just say image equals for this one right there, and both of them should actually appear. So check the shop, and as we can see, both pickaxes have now appeared. That's exactly what we wanted. That's awesome. So far, we now have 2 pickaxes constructed within our shop. So 2 items are now available in our shop. Amazing progress. So the final things that we sort of need to do for now is we want to also assign a custom property to the item object, and we want to name this item template button. And we're going to say that is equal to the cloned template. And then we're actually going to return the custom item object that we just created. So now we go back to the item generator and we will actually set a local variable. We're going to set item object, and that's going to be equal to the constructor right here. Now what this is going to do, it's going to loop through the config and it's going to get the line. Then once it gets the line, it's going to create a brand new item object. Now, since in the item constructor, we just set the item template button, let's make sure we spell that right, to the clone template, what we can actually do is we can say item object dot item template button dot mouse button 1 click, and then we can connect a function to it. So let's go ahead and connect the function. Now we can do whatever we want. So let's just go ahead and print out clicked. And now let's start the game. And now we can see once we get in game, we can click on here and we can see click has now been printed in chat. Awesome. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to end the episode there. I'm trying not to exceed 20-minute episodes for the rest of the series, and we should only have 1 more or 2 more episodes left of the series, and we should have a fully built GUI shop. If this video did help you guys out, make sure you guys hit that like button. Also, if you guys want to see more Roblox development and scripting videos, hit the subscribe button and turn those post notifications on. If you guys have any questions, definitely join the Discord, and you guys can ask it in there. Also, you could leave in the comment section down below or give me some feedback. We also have a Patreon. If you guys would like to access all the scripts or the direct game file from this video, there's a link down below in the description of the Patreon. Go ahead and check it out, and you guys can support me. Anyway, I hope that you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.